MCURC Insights. Welcome everyone to our final MCURC Insights Exchange of the year, zeroing in on zero waste. I'm Sophie Egan, Director of the R&D East Stanford Food Institute and proud co-director of the Minutes of Change University Research Collaborative. This topic, which will cover both reducing waste in terms of packaging and especially single-use plastics, as well as reducing food waste, is one that we know is top of mind for just about every Minutes of Change University Research Collaborative member. We heard it really as a key theme throughout our recent in-person all-member meeting at the University of North Texas. And it's the perfect fit for the spirit of the collaborative, which is to share what we're learning, what strategies we're finding traction and success with, and also where we're encountering challenges and how we might crowdsource the knowledge, experience, wisdom, and living laboratory model that is the core of the research that we pursue together to really accelerate forward progress in these areas. So the first half of our session, sorry, let me pull up my agenda here. The first half of our session will focus on reducing waste and single-use plastics. We have three presentations from Vanderbilt, Sodexo, and Cornell. Then we'll have some time for Q&A, which will be facilitated by my co-director, Allison Ryder. Then we'll shift gears for the second half of the session to focus on reducing food waste. Again, three presentations, one from University of Michigan, Stanford, and then Boston University, and some final Q&A and then closing. So with that, I am really pleased to turn it over to Maria Portelli and Emily Svenovic from Vanderbilt to tell us about their reusable container program. So over to you.
Thank you, Sophie.
Thanks, Sophie. Okay, can everybody see the screen?
It is loading, but double click to enter full screen mode, it says. There we go.
All good? Okay.
Beautiful.
Perfect.
Well, we are really excited to present Vanderbilt Campus Dining's initiative in zero waste. Campus dining has really been the driver for sustainability here at Vanderbilt University with our push for no more plastic back in 2018 to our robust composting program. I think Emily's got that.
Yeah, I think my Zoom quit. Is everything good?
We just don't see the...
Double click again. I think you had whatever you did before that resolved it. There you go.
There we go. All right, next slide. Can you go to the next slide, Emily?
I went on and on my rock.
Well, I think maybe she's having some Zoom technical challenges. Emily, can you hear us? I'm wondering maybe we will skip to the next speaker and come back to you and Maria. Do you want to, if it's sticking and not letting you advance?
I think we might have lost her altogether.
Okay, well then that's what we'll do.
Okay, perfect.
Hold that thought, we'll come right back to you. So Kate Shear from Sodexo campus, if you are ready, we will turn to you and come back to our Vanderbilt colleagues. And actually that's an interesting point. If she lost Zoom, can we kick her slides out? That's it.
I think so, but you tell me if I'm successfully.
Thank you.
Okay. Great.
There we go. Excellent.
Is that full screen for everybody?
Not yet.
Yes. Okay. Oh, no?
It's in slide. There we go.
It's a little
Beautiful.
there. It's just lagging a little bit. It's such a sort of gross but interesting image. I thought I'd share. We have this circulating internally as we're doing a lot of strategy work around single-use plastics, and I thought I'm going to share this one. So hi everyone, I'm Kate Shearer. I'm the Director of Sustainability and CSR for Sodexo in our campus segment. I'm really excited to have been asked to share on the first exchange that I've been exposed to, Sodexo being one of our newer members. I will warn you all, my 6-year-old is imminently coming home from kindergarten, and I think he's going to blow past my red stop sign on my office door. So I thought I'd have that 5-minute grace period, which I've lost, but hopefully we'll be all good. But I wanted to share with you, I'll go back for a sec, the Understanding Packaging Scorecard. It's called the UP Scorecard. It is I want to share it with you. It's not something that's proprietary to Sodexo, but it's a really powerful tool that is supporting the development and deployment of our sustainable food service packaging strategy. And we've been intimately involved in its creation. So I really thought this was a great recommendation by Sophie to share with the group, because I think it has so much potential to benefit all. So I know we all know this, but I couldn't help myself to share some of the reasons why this matters so much. You know, single-use disposables have just a detrimental impact on the environment, on human health. We've got more than 8 million tons of plastic being dumped into our oceans annually. We've got thousands of chemicals that are found and used in food service packaging. You know, many of them have known hazards, and they're finding their way into our food and our food systems. You know, if anyone's not familiar with what a chemical of concern is, you know, it's known to have one or more of the hazards, including, you know, being carcinogenic, mutagenic, toxic to reproduction, endocrine disruption, persistent, mobile, bioaccumulative, and toxic. So really nasty stuff. But interestingly, and this is where I think sort of collective collaborative effort is so critical. We have so many systemic issues in our waste infrastructure that really complicate our solutions, and just really mean that we can't compost or recycle our way out of the problem. You know, there's inconsistency in what's accepted, you know, what materials are accepted from place to place. I found this statistic so horrifying. We have about 20,000 different recycling systems in the US. So how does anybody make decisions? You know, like a compostable label does not mean that it's accepted by your processor. And then there's a lack of access as well. Only about 11% of the US population can actually compost packaging. Yet we have clients all the time, you know, insisting that we convert to compost when it may not actually be the right choice. You know, and only 32% of the US can, 32% of the US can only recycle by a drop-off location. So it's just really challenging for consumers. Meanwhile, we have heard from 2/3 of our campus clients that addressing single-use packaging is a key priority. So where do we start when, you know, individuals that are making choices and institutional buyers are struggling to understand which products are actually going to make that difference? So in comes the UP scorecard. And the single-use material decelerator, which is the acronym is SUMD, S-U-M-D. So members of this group, this cross-industry multi-stakeholder group, came together to really explore how can collective action lead to systemic change in this single-use packaging space. You know, how can we scale and address the complexity behind sustainable packaging? So, you know, several of us on this call are a part of that group. Sodexo sits on SUMD's steering committee. Aramark and Compass are also part of this group. You know, and we all experience this common challenge with making sustainable purchasing decisions, both, you know, at the enterprise level where we have our purchasing departments, our supply management teams, but also at the unit level when they're faced with options. So, you know, the idea behind the scorecard was, how do we guide our teams to, you know, properly evaluate this sea of competing products, you know, claiming to be compostable, recyclable, non-toxic, you know, any number of certifications, you know, not to mention just the various systems that we may have available to us. So they have created this online resource that scores commonly used foodware and food packaging products with a common yardstick, if you will, to compare all the choices against the same apples to apples criteria. It's free, it's science-based in its methodology, and it's just comprehensive to allow folks to make, decisions around sustainable purchasing. So in our case, our the procurement professionals can make decisions about, who they should be contracting with. Our operators at the unit level can compare, packaging products and buy what's best based on what waste systems they might have in their specific location. And kind of holistically speaking, and thinking about that collective impact, collective effort, as more decision makers, hopefully many of you on this call, adopt the tool, this cumulative purchasing power that it will drive can really signal to producers where buyers are heading, where the demand lies around sustainable products. So let me give you a little walkthrough of the tool. And I decided not to take the time to load it, but I took a couple of screen grabs and I'll put the link to it in the chat so you guys can all play around. But one of the first decision points is, what product are you, what product are you exploring? So I chose cold cups just as an example. It pulls up this next, the second screenshot there. You can, choose which ones you're deciding between. I decided let's look at them all. And it pulls up this scorecard, which covers 6 areas of impact. You can see them up at the top there: plastic pollution, chemicals of concern, etc., recoverability. And it shows those trade-offs, those sustainability trade-offs of the options. It also averages the 6 attributes at the end. So you can either decide, is there one in particular that's really critical that outweighs the others, or is it the average score that's important? You can see at the top here, it shows the US recoverability averages for that recoverability score. But that may not be valuable for a unit operator doesn't have the USA average. It has real localized recoverability issues. And so you can actually customize the parameters for that one. So like if you can't recycle in your area, you can unclick that and go in and customize to what your waste stream will handle. So that is what this would lead you to.
Yeah, super interesting, Kate. And just a quick time check too, and really great to see how this tool actually works in practice. Just a flagging.
Yeah, and that's it. That's it for me. I just encourage you guys to explore the tool, provide feedback. It's been really powerful to us to incorporate into our procurement practices, kind of a checklist as part of our strategy. So I think it, I definitely encourage you guys to play around and provide feedback in the tool.
Amazing. Thank you so very much, Kate. And as anyone familiar with these Insights Exchanges knows, these are rapid fire bursts of inspiration and so much more to delve into, but really phenomenal to know about this tool. So thank you, Kate. We're going to pull up our Vanderbilt colleagues again, Maria and Emily. Hope the tech works this time around. And again, 5 minutes from our Vanderbilt colleagues, and then we've got Cornell up next, and then so time for Q&A. So Maria and Emily, welcome back, and we'll try to have your slides. Thank you so much.
Okay, we're going to try this again. Thank you all. My name is Maria Pertelli. I'm the Senior Director for Campus Dining. So campus dining has really been the driver for sustainability with our push for no more plastic back in 2018, and then our robust composting program. Vanderbilt University achieving zero waste by 2030, diverting 90% of waste from the landfill. And campus dining was successful in achieving zero waste in our residential dining halls this fall with our reusable ware program. This fall, we introduced a reusable ware program to all of our residential dining halls and eliminated the use of single-use disposable to-go containers. We worked over the summer as our team put processes in place. We ordered containers from Preserve, who works hand in hand with Fill It Forward, purchased drying racks and return bins for the program. We knew to make this a successful program that we had to go all in. So we partnered with Fill It Forward, which is a technology that brings this program full circle. We brought the idea to the student government here at Vanderbilt, who loved the concept, and in turn, they've been our biggest advocates. And you'll see that shortly at the end of our presentation. Each student receives a free container. Their first container is free. They can purchase additional containers for $5. These containers are available to be used in all You Care to Eat residential dining halls, and they're also available to purchase from faculty, staff, and grad students for $5. So now I'm going to turn it over to Emily, who's going to talk about some additional benefits of our program, how it works here at Vanderbilt, and our spring initiative around zero waste.
Yes, thank you, Maria. So I'm the registered dietitian at Vanderbilt. So just again, going further into Fill It Forward. So each time a student uses their container, Fill It Forward donates money to programs around the world. And some of the supported projects we've had over the semester we've had 6 different charity partners ranging from tree planting initiatives with One Tree Planted and also school wash programs with Wine to Water. And then currently we have over 2,000 students enrolled. So we hope this number just continues to grow. We really tried to target first years as they came in. And then each time a student opens the app, you can see it on the screen there. You can see your contributions like CO2 emissions, power saved, waste diverted from landfills. So it's just a daily reminder that every reuse really helps. And so, as Maria mentioned, we have a short video that we created in partnership with Vanderbilt Student Government to promote Fill It Forward and kind of educate students on how it works. So this will give a little more detail on how it all works.
I'm Amish Mattel, your VSG Student Body President, and today I want to talk to you about an exciting new sustainability initiative here at Vandy.
Oh, I think we lost the video, but maybe you can share it in the chat.
Yeah, we can share that in the chat. And then I'm not sure if it kicked Maria off. My Zoom was doing the same thing. Whenever I would share the screen, it like kicked me off. But
you powered through.
Yeah. So
please share the link for sure. It looked like a cool video.
Yes, we definitely will share the link. But again, that was just kind of like a video that highlighted, that was our VSG president. So she kind of walked through on how it actually worked with like downloading the app, as well as using a QR code to scan in your container to get it, and then how you return it and things like that. So it's very easy on the students. All you have to really do is go up to the cashier and they'll have all the things there ready for them. And then again, like we mentioned, when they're dirty, they just come put it in a bin, and then our staff will take care of washing it. They don't have to worry about that at all. And then moving forward, our next goal is to expand Fill It Forward beyond just containers. And so we're going to incorporate having water bottles. So we'll be giving reusable water bottles to students, as well as the stickers that go with it. So each box on the container that we have has a sticker that we placed on it, which was the Fill It Forward sticker. And so we're going to be doing that same thing with the water bottles. And so each time a student goes to reuse their water bottle, they can scan that QR code. It'll be the same process again, showing their like help in the environment, reducing CO2 emissions, things like that, as well as donating money to whatever cause they wish. And I believe that is all that we had. Does anyone have any questions, or we're doing questions at the end?
Yes, we'll do questions after our next speaker. Thank you so much, Emily.
Yeah.
And hopefully Maria will rejoin us. So our third speaker in the reusables vein is Anna Ben Shlomo from Cornell. Over to you.
Hi, everyone. And Sophie and Allison, thank you for inviting me to give an overview of our reusable container program. Hopefully the technology will work, and it doesn't.
So far, so good.
I cannot move the slides, which is concerning. Okay, maybe. Okay, there we go. Sorry. So we began this program back in 2017. It was very small in scale and was basically meant for students who didn't have enough time to dine in. And then when COVID hit and we had to shut our dining halls, we actually switched to disposable paper to go containers. And that continued for a year. We did consider switching to reusables, but that was found impractical when we had those discussions back in summer 2020. And after a year of having disposables and realizing the huge impact they had, both financially and environmentally, in fall 2021, we offered one free reusable container to every student on a meal plan, and began with the program at full scale, basically fall 2021. In spring 2022, we were able to eliminate our paper to go boxes. Students could no longer ask for them at all. This is all at residential dining. And they could still get those disposable paper boxes when they would take food from our specialty dining halls, the gluten-free, tree nut and peanut-free dining hall, and the kosher dining hall. How it works, they drop them off with the cashier. When they swipe in for their meal, they get a clean and sanitized container. We wash them for them, obviously. They can also check them in. That was something we added to our cashier system also last year. So they didn't have to carry it around. They could check it in and check it out later. If they lose it, they can buy it. I believe it's $7.50 per container, per box. And this fall we saw approximately 21,300 monthly exchanges. So this program is very popular. Lots of students use the boxes. You see them everywhere at all of the dining halls. But of course, there are challenges. It's a big program. We have a lot of students. Staff is not consistent with recording the exchanges and check-ins and checks out. So the number of exchanges I just presented might be higher, much higher. It's just not recorded by the staff. The other problem we see, especially this semester, is that students eat in, they also take good food to go, but they don't swipe for 2 meals. So that makes forecasting and ordering much more difficult for us, for our chefs in the units. We lose the inventory. We lost this semester, we lost about 50% of containers we distributed in the fall. So we have to reorder more. And the biggest, not the biggest challenge, but one of the other challenges that we've always had, that we cannot use this program at our retail locations, simply because the majority of them don't have the dishwashing capacity. And we don't have the logistics capability to start washing them someplace else and bringing them back to retail. So that's a minus, of course. We are always looking for more possible solutions, and this group is always super helpful to hear about what others found useful and working well. I've been searching for a way more robust tracking program that will also allow us to track the inventory, and that's a little harder to find in the market. So if you know of any great programs that you can always see your inventory, that would be great. We are thinking to have a tighter control on distribution when we give them out at the beginning of the year, maybe mandate distribution for 1 or 2 days, and whoever didn't get it, they will have to buy it. Because now they could just come and say, oh, I didn't get mine. And then it's just I'm sure they have multiple containers, some students. And always we have to better educate the staff and the students on how it's supposed to be working. And we've done that through Instagram, through emails to the students who have meal plans, but always we can do more. And I think that was it. And thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Anna.
Thank you, Anna and Maria and Emily and Kate, for those rapid fire quick presentations. We have about 5 minutes for questions. I really appreciated just what we heard in those 3 presentations, how Kate started off saying, you know, we can't recycle or compost our way out of this problem, showed some really stark stats that we just, you know, can't get enough of, no matter how much we all may know them. The UP scorecard sounds fantastic. And then hearing from Cornell and Vanderbilt that these 2 different reusable container programs is really interesting. So would love, would open it up for just a couple minutes of any comments or questions from anyone. Feel free to unmute yourself and jump in or ask something in the chat, and I'm happy to facilitate that to the group as well. Okay, let's see here. So from Mary, in your AYCT operations, have you assessed if there's different food costs between eating in or taking out?
Not for us.
Okay. And from Sophie, does anyone else have any solutions for managing inventory loss or for addressing constraints like dishwashing? That was a concern we heard.
Yeah, Allison, I would definitely recommend the technology behind a reusable container, like a fill it forward program, is how we are able to track our inventory of these containers. That is a huge piece to the success of how we're doing it here at Vanderbilt.
Great, good point. Okay, for the reusable container programs, do you have container collection bins only at dining halls? Does that seem to work well for students?
We have bins at the dining halls, and they can also put them on the return belts directly onto our into our dish room.
Great.
Same here, bins at the dining halls.
Okay, great. Let's see, from Graham, how did people manage pushback from students on not being able to get a plate of food to eat in-house and then taking a box to go, understanding all you care to eat versus all you can eat?
We have not had a whole lot of pushback here at Vanderbilt. It's been it's been received well by all the students so far.
That's great. Anything
No
from you,
issues.
Anna?
It was pandemic. Everyone understood that's what they had to do, and now it's just a very useful tool for them.
Okay, good. Massive cultural shift, it seems, with really good student acceptance. That's awesome. Question for Vanderbilt. You mentioned that there are drop-off boxes. Do you scan the fill it forward tags to scan them in or out, or do the students have the app to scan them in and out?
There is an app, and there is a sticker on each container. So they do scan it in, drop it off in our disposable bins, and then pick up their new one. It's all a scan process.
Yeah, and it's on that video. If we'll share the link with you guys, you're welcome to watch it. It's just 2 minutes long, but it really goes through the whole process too and shows you step by step.
Awesome. Looks like Sarah ran into some IT concerns with the Fill It Forward app and privacy. Is that something you all ran into, Emily and Maria?
So far, we have not.
Okay.
We have not had any issues with it, no.
Okay. And then final question here from Mary, follow up for Cornell. Do you mean there's no difference in food costs between eat-in and takeout, or have you not assessed this difference? Is Anna still there?
Sorry, I can you repeat? Food costs?
Yeah, food costs. So is there no difference between the food cost between eat-in or takeout, or has that difference not been assessed?
I think it's mostly, well, it's not speculation, but we see that the food cost is higher when they don't scan it twice. They just don't tell us. They go, they have their meal at the dining hall, but they also fill the box. And without telling the cashier, there's definitely a higher food cost for that.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Okay, well, in the interest of time, I'll hand it back over to Sophie to take us into part 2, but there's probably going to be a few more questions in the chat. So I encourage you all to keep engaging in the chat and to contact Anna, Kate, Maria, Emily for any questions or just to continue the sharing of these insights. So thanks you all for sharing your programs and good luck. Keep up the good work, keeping those going this year.
Thanks so much, Allison. Great questions throughout. This is really, yeah, please do continue to answer those. A lot of this last one from Caitlin about the question of charging is definitely a big question, and just all the cost questions I think are very top of mind for folks right now. So thank you again. Shifting gears now to dive into successful strategies for reducing and preventing food waste, both pre-consumer and post-consumer. And our first presentation is from 3 master's students representing, I believe it was a 4-student team that created a really incredible resource. And they are from the University of Michigan. So I'll turn it over to Celia, Marnie, and Janet.
Great. Thanks so much, Sophie. And thank you everyone for having us here today. As Sophie mentioned, my name is Marnie. I'm joined by my colleagues, Janet and Celia, to share out some high-level findings from a year-long research engagement with Michigan Dining on an assessment of food waste reduction strategies for university and institutional dining providers. So to give you just a high-level summary of what we dove into, we were really drawn to this project, as I'm sure a lot of the folks in this virtual Zoom room are, due to the wide variety of impacts that food waste has on the climate crisis. And so that was really our ethos for diving into this project. And in collaboration with Michigan Dining, we assessed 21 different food waste intervention solutions spanning across back of house, front of house, and end of life solutions. And we evaluated these solutions using 7 different attributes and 15 supporting sub-attributes, which we'll dive into a little bit later. And we were really excited to work with Michigan Dining as they are pursuing really ambitious food waste reduction goals. And at the time of our research, they actually had already implemented 75% of the interventions assessed. And based on our analysis, we landed on waste tracking technology and taste and try stations as our future recommended solutions for Michigan Dining. And as Sophie mentioned, we synthesized our research and our findings into an electronic report that I believe was sent out to attendees of this session. So if you're interested in diving a little bit deeper, that is available for you all to read. And to give just a brief overview of our project, we're going to dive in just to our team, as Sophie mentioned, we were a team of 4 Michigan graduate students pursuing dual degrees between business and sustainability. So this project was a really great intersection of our interests, both personal and professional. And we would be remiss if we did not give a big shout out to Keith Soster, who's on the call today, Director of Engagement at Michigan Dining. He served as our project sponsor and was a huge advocate for us in providing us information and context. So thank you, Keith. And we also would like to provide some thanks to Andrew Hoffman, professor at University of Michigan, as well as our project advisor. And so our team is really interested in partnering with Michigan Dining as they were a natural partner. They were already leading the way in food waste reduction. And some of the strategies that we were looking to assess are on the screen here. And we started with the question, what interventions were Michigan Dining already implementing and what goals did the team have for future food waste targets? And so we did just want to mention too, we began our research in 2021 when, as I'm sure all the folks in the Zoom room know, institutional dining providers were very much facing a lot of pandemic challenges. So we just wanted to preface with that. But I'm going to pass it off to my colleague Celia, who's going to talk about our methodologies.
Thanks, Marnie. We broke down our research methods into 3 parts. The first was a literature review, the second was expert and practitioner interviews, and then lastly, we did some operational observations in the dining hall, and we will go through each of those quickly. So the first one is literature review. We began with a robust review of university publications, nonprofits such as ReFed, reports from the UN, EPA, and many more. We started broad, seeking to understand what the drivers of food waste were, and then drilling down into more specific interventions that we were going to include in our analysis. We conducted 18 interviews for folks that were internal to M Dining and external. Some of the folks are on the call, so shout out, thank you all for sharing your ideas, wisdom, and research with us. And then lastly, we visited 9 observations in the dining centers across different meal times and the many different units across the University of Michigan campus. So all of these together, our literature review, interviews, and observations, we identified different interventions and we organized them by location because some interventions wouldn't be accessible for the different locations. We did back of house, front of house, and then end of life or disposal methods. We looked at best practices to guide our recommendations, and we highlight several case studies in our published work. So if folks are interested, they're more than welcome to dive in. So we identified over 20 interventions across the 7 different attributes. So on this slide here, let's orient. The left side are the interventions broken out by back of house, front of house, and end of life. And then there's a lot of green and yellow and red dots, and those are associated with the impact potential across the 7 attributes that we chose to assess. There are 15 sub-attributes that go underneath each of these attributes that you see here. So for example, economic, we would include the upfront cost, ongoing cost, ROI, any cost savings. So all of those bubble up into the economic impact that you see here. The external report has the full breakdown, so folks are more than welcome to view it there, but each intervention underwent this detailed analysis based on the literature and the climate science that we just reviewed. So this is a very tiny screenshot, but we went through each of these so you can see the sub-attributes broken down for each of the interventions that we recommended. And I will now pass it on to Janet to discuss our results.
Awesome. Thanks, Celia. So not included in the report, but something that we thought we would mention because it was helpful to M Dining. The report includes our analysis of all of these interventions across all of these criteria more generally, but what is going to work for M Dining in their specific context. So what we did was we built a multi-criteria decision analysis tool, or MCDA, because that's a mouthful. It is a way to quantitatively assess which interventions are going to work best for M Dining when weighing them across multiple different criteria. And the weights are based on their overall importance to the end goal, and the end goal here could change over time. So this tool is dynamic and weights can be adjusted. So for example, if M Dining wanted to weight maybe labor and supply chain a little bit higher than something else because of the COVID-19 pandemic, that would have been probably salient for 2020, 2021, and maybe even now. But in 5 years from now, that might be not top of mind for them. So those weights can be adjusted. And then scores are assigned to each intervention based on how well they perform against the criteria. And ultimately, we get weighted scores that determine which intervention would work best for M Dining at this time. And so here you see a list of the interventions and in priority order of high to low score. So each intervention we analyzed against this MCDA framework, and then a higher score indicates that this is a more favorable intervention for M Dining to take. And so M Dining, as we've said, has already implemented over 3/4 of the interventions that we identified. And so if this was something that they wanted to do to further reduce their food waste, they could then just go down the list and find the highest score intervention that they have yet to implement. That being said, this is only one input to their decision making. And so, there are other factors to consider as well. And so just to sum it up here, the highest impact interventions overall on the left side are smaller portions, tray removal, smaller plate size, and then using front of house signage. But then for M Dining specifically, they would then think about taste and try stations or waste tracking as their next interventions. And we're looking forward to your questions. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, team. Amazing. What a whirlwind. I really am excited to sit down with that scorecard, just as I'm excited to sit down with the UP scorecard and really dig into it. But I love the color gradation and the clarity and crispness. And it's a really important point that's so relevant for the MCURC that you raised at the end, which is, what are the most impactful interventions in general, or that the science shows, may not be the most impactful interventions for your organization. So understanding historically what you've already tried, understanding your unique environments and all the different factors is so important. So I really like that nuanced analysis you shared. We'll come back to you if we have any questions, but I'm going to turn it to my colleague, Chef Christina Batondo, to speak to the Stanford Food Waste Prevention Playbook. Christina?
Thank you, Sophie. Let me share my screen. Everyone can see the screen?
Yep, looks good.
Good, okay. Thank you, everyone. I'm so happy to be here today and to have the opportunity to share the many ways we are working to reduce food waste here at Stanford and talk about our food waste prevention playbook. Sophie said, my name is Christina Batondo. I'm the Senior Associate Director of Student Culinary Excellence. I'm also the co-chair of the MCURC Executive Chef Committee, the co-chair of the R&D Stanford Food Waste Reduction Task Force, and the Lean Path Super Champion. So basically, it all starts with commitment and dedication at the leadership level.
So in 2019, Eric Montel, our assistant vice provost, created a food waste reduction task force. It included key experts from across the department: culinary, sustainability, food choice architecture, operational management, and research. The objective was to develop a food waste reduction strategy and action plan for the years to come. So after incorporating the recommendations of our partners and our task force, Stanford Dining committed to further reduce food waste by 25% by the end of 2022. The food waste prevention playbook captures the full array of strategies we employ to minimize food waste. It's basically our roadmap of how to achieve our goals. So how do we reach our target? We focus on the strategies that will have the biggest impact. Using a core set of data-driven processes, we developed a hierarchy of opportunities to prevent food waste. This is R&DE Stanford Dining's hierarchy for preventing food waste. It starts with forecast and order accurately as the biggest impact, then portion control, just-in-time cooking, repurposing leftovers, donating, and then our least impactful, tossing out food. So we focus on forecasting and ordering accurately by using waste and previous meal count data to make adjustments. Being able to stop the food from entering the production cycle before it can become waste has been our greatest opportunity to reduce our overall food waste. Data, data, data. This has been our greatest tool, being able to capture the accurate waste to pivot and make changes throughout the quarters. We have enhanced food waste data through systemizing production worksheets to show patterns in our food waste generation. Using LeanPath, a technology platform that analyzes our food waste, and I saw someone from LeanPath on here, so thank you. We also have seen a large impact in our central production kitchen, which is our commissary, where we've been able to reduce food waste and adjust our high-cost items based on history of data throughout each quarter. We also work with our university partners to conduct food waste studies and audits throughout the dining halls to further understand where waste is coming from. Portion control and just-in-time preparation has been a very impactful way to control food waste and has allowed for us to repurpose foods if there are extras. Just-in-time preparation allows us to create a dining environment that encourages the students to take appropriate amounts. This has two benefits: providing the freshest food possible while also minimizing overproduction. And although we rely on data for production forecasting, there are the occasional times dining rooms are slow without any reason. So during low traffic times, we intentionally consolidate food and use smaller platters, ensuring that the variety and quality remains high, but the food waste is reduced. We participated in a multi-study site that uncovered two strategies with big potential for reducing food waste. One, boosting confidence in choosing a dish by increasing familiarity, since foods that were dubbed more familiar were also wasted less. And then two, reducing portion size for new dishes, as more food was wasted when someone else served a novel dish. Then repurpose with purpose. Our chef team is extremely talented and they turn extra food into fun items that students will love, always focusing on student favorites such as quesadillas and nachos are pretty popular. If we cannot repurpose it, we work with student groups that help us coordinate food donations to those in need in the Bay Area. We also designate food waste champions at all of our special events to ensure the data is captured and food waste is prevented in the future. Having to toss out food is the last option, but thanks to higher impact strategies like upcycling and feeding animals, most of it is not wasted. Although throwing away food is our last option, 100% of the organics that make it into the dining hall compost dumpster are converted into pig and dog feed. And through a partnership with Sequential, 100% of our roughly 6,400 gallons of used cooking oil is converted to biodiesel every year. Stanford University is committed to reaching a diversion rate from the landfill of 90% by 2030. The current diversion rate is 65%. In the future, we're excited about how this aspect of our operations can help support another one plate, one planet pillar, which is to help catalyze a circular economy of food. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chef Christina. Greatly appreciate it. And last but not least is Lexi please tell me how to pronounce your last name, who is Sustainability Director at Boston University.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lexi Ronska. I'm the Sustainability Director for Boston University Dining Services, and I'm going to talk to you today about Weigh the Waste, which is one of our initiatives to engage students around post-consumer food waste. So on campus, post-consumer food waste accounts for about 70% of the food waste that's generated. So when we determined that food waste was our key priority area with regards to sustainability, it was very clear that if we wanted to have any type of impact, we really needed to engage students and make sure the conversation was not just focused on how are we minimizing waste in our kitchens, but how are we minimizing the waste that's left over on people's plates at the end of their meal. In a typical experience, students place their dishes on a dish belt, like in the photo, and it is an out of sight, out of mind experience with their food waste. They don't see food waste accumulate. They don't see it sorted into the compost bin. They don't see any part of that process. So it's very disconnected and it's unclear to students how much waste is really generated. So we began holding Weigh the Waste events to make food waste more front of mind, as well as identify commonly wasted foods so that we could figure out what foods are we regularly seeing and how can we make changes to prevent that from happening. So we first started Weigh the Waste events in the 2018-2019 academic year. And at that time, we were holding one event a semester in each of our 3 primary dining halls. The following year, we decided to increase the frequency and the spread of those events to 3 times a semester in all 4 of our dining halls for the fall semester. And then we were able to hold 6 events before the pandemic shutting down the campus. And then the last year and this year, we've expanded even more to holding 5 events each semester in all 4 of our dining halls. So during a Weigh the Waste event, we have a team of students that lead these events, and they are student employees for dining. So we're able to get a regular schedule and commitment out of these students. But it's really important to have a peer-to-peer education opportunity for students. So when the events first started, it was me and my predecessor leading these events, and we found that students aren't necessarily as willing to provide a candid response to why they're wasting food if they're talking to someone who works for dining services rather than a student that maybe they live in the same dorm as or go to class with. Additionally, peer-to-peer education is an opportunity for students to share with other students how they navigate the dining hall and try to minimize food waste in their daily lifestyle, since it's a shared experience for everyone. Additionally, it provides a great leadership opportunity for students who are interested in getting more involved in sustainability and waste-related initiatives on campus. So we hold 20 hour-long events across campus each semester. During these events, students sort their waste into clear containers depending on the category. We sort into 4 different categories: edible food waste, inedible food waste, napkins, and trash. And this allows us to track changes in waste generation over time and across different locations. Over the course of the event, students assist with waste sorting, explain the event, offer suggestions on reducing food waste, observe the commonly wasted foods that they're regularly seeing left over on people's plates, and survey students. Surveying the students is really important because we can glean some things just based on observing what is coming back on plates significantly, but we don't necessarily know why it's coming back, if it's a quality issue, if it's a portion size issue. So through this survey, we're able to get deeper into that question and identify what food students are wasting, which station it was from, why it was wasted, as well as provide an opportunity for students to share ideas for how BU dining can help them minimize food waste. And this question has been really beneficial in framing these events as a 2-way conversation, and that we're not just showing students how much food they're wasting and putting all of the responsibility on them to reduce food waste, but making sure that they know that it's a 2-way conversation. So we accept any feedback they can offer for what we can do to help them minimize the waste that they are generating in the first place. And these events have been significantly impactful on campus. Students have really embraced them. When we first started holding them and they were just once a semester, there would be students standing in line at the dish return, audibly groaning that they wish they went to a different dining hall that day. It was such an inconvenience. But with the increased frequency, students are now very accustomed to the process. They know how to sort their waste. They really like that we're doing it, and we hear a lot of positive comments. Usually at the start of every year, we'll have some new students taking photos and sending them to friends at other schools, showing all of the cool sustainability things that are going on campus. And students actually asked for more frequent events, which was part of our increase from 3 times to 5 times a semester. So we're holding an event at least once a week on campus every semester, which is great. This semester, we've seen over a 40% reduction in edible food waste per person recorded during the events compared to the events we held in 2018, 2019. And then just compared to last spring, we've seen over a 30% reduction. So it's a very simple initiative, but has a really great impact in significantly reducing waste. And some key areas that we have made changes to as a direct result of these events. We noticed a lot of starches coming back, especially last year, particularly rice. And we learned through the surveys that students were receiving a composed meal that had a protein, a vegetable, and rice. And they didn't necessarily want the rice, but they didn't want to communicate that to the server. So we were able to transition to centralized rice cookers in our dining hall. So students who want rice can serve themselves and take however much they want. But students who don't want rice just don't have to take it and don't have to make any special requests around it. We also cut pizzas into smaller slices to provide an opportunity for students who maybe want to try a few different flavors or just want a piece of pizza in addition to a number of other menu items. So we've been able to cut back on that type of waste. And then we have seen a lot of burger buns coming back, many of which completely untouched, where students just want the interior of a burger or a chicken sandwich and don't want any of the bread. So now we have options for students to either take a pre-plated burger without a bun or request one without it, or just ask for no bun when their burger is being built. And all of these changes have been really impactful and things that we can easily track, especially since we do these events so frequently. It's something that we can easily make modifications after an event and see the impact the next time around.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Lexi. I love the concrete, juicy nugget of the rice cooker example. It's really stuff like that that I particularly enjoy from these presentations, where it's kind of one aha moment or a small change that has a huge impact. So thank you so much to all of our speakers. And I also really love the theme throughout all 3 presentations about the role of students, right? And it's not them versus us or us versus them, but it's truly this partnership and inviting them to be partners in this effort, especially because food waste is so top of mind for a lot of students. It's so palpable, so visible. And it reminds me, one of my favorite pillars of the Stanford Food Waste Prevention Playbook is really about cultivating a culture of food waste prevention. And that's where it's the norms both of dining staff, but then also of students. So we've got some great questions here from Graham, both 2 questions for Boston University. So first, what is considered trash in the Weigh the Waste event sorting exercise, Lexi? And then the second question for you is, do you think that this is reducing waste over the semester in general, not just during the event? Or do you think students are reducing their waste because the event is going on?
Yeah, great question. So trash is anything that's not accepted in our food waste stream or a napkin. So if there were wrappers, if someone brought a coffee cup in, if there were if anything that is treated as trash in our waste stream, we collect in that category. In our dining halls, it's typically very small, but it's important to separate out. That way, everything can be sorted correctly after the event. And we don't publicize these events. We don't promote them in advance on social media. We put up a poster only at the dish return. So students typically don't know it's happening until they get to the dish belt. So it's not necessarily influencing their behavior when they're taking their meals in the dining hall.
Interesting. And then, sorry, just in terms of your definition of trash during those events?
Yeah, so trash is just, it could be a condiment packet, it could be a coffee cup, anything that is not a napkin or food waste.
Okay, great. So non-edible.
Yeah.
Thank you. Question from Allison Deo. Do you use front of house scales for these events? There's hesitation with her client to do these events due to concerns with disordered eating, and with the clear containers, it seems like it would still be an impactful visual.
Yeah, so we use a scale to collect the weights, but we do the weighing off to the side after the event. So there's no scale during the event. We weigh the containers at the start, off to the side, and then the event is over. We go off to the side again and weigh the containers. So no students see the scale or anything like that.
Interesting, a little stealth. Question from Frank Bailey, Boston College, and maybe this could be for either Chef Christina or the Michigan team, but of course jump into Lexi if you'd like. Have you been working, trying to work on food waste at catered events? And if so, how do you handle or quantify post-consumer waste in those contexts?
That's a very interesting question, actually. I know that we try to forecast as closely as we can, but as we all know at catered events, especially when you have buffets, it's a little bit more difficult because you have to make sure. So we do things like smaller containers, displaying things just a little bit differently and then refreshing it more often. I think those are kind of the strategies we use at Stanford.
Yeah. Anything to add from Boston or Michigan on food waste strategies or measurement in catered contexts, or from anyone on the line? No. Okay. Great. Well, we've got time for maybe one last question if anyone has one in the chat. If not, please engage with these phenomenal resources. Some light reading for your holiday break. And really just again, thank you to our phenomenal speaker lineup. I want to extend a huge thank you to all of you, the phenomenal MCURC community. So happy holidays and thank you for such a phenomenal year, really on behalf of all of us at the CIA and Stanford who lead this initiative, none of which is possible without your contributions, your passion, shared learnings like this incredible treasure trove that was unearthed here today. And it's really just so heartening to be working together to cultivate the long-term well-being of all people on the planet, one student, one meal at a time. Wish you the very best in the new year and lots more to come in your inboxes, recording, slides, year in review newsletter that you'll be receiving shortly. And thank you again for this inspiring work that you're all doing and for sharing it and taking the time to do so today. Take care and thanks again.
Thanks everyone. Happy holidays. Take care.
Bye.